Ulonka tabati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá inú tó yẹ kó jẹun lọ fi bí pa Ọbàtálá ọba takuntakun Ṣàngó Èṣù Ògún Ọya Ọ̀ṣun kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí ó jẹ́ lọ jára rẹ̀.
Hola, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Bami, and we are joined once again by none other than our distinguished community elder, Oloye Baba Ifa Kerade. Lafia, Baba, how you doing today?
Lafia, ni, Dada ni. I'm doing well, my brother. Thank you for asking. Okay, we're here and we're giving the blessings, Ashere, Iwori Wofun, and to all of the good people out there. A resounding Ekabo, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Ashe. That's what's up, man. Yeah, so as usual, sound like you the mood is good, the energy is high, and we're ready to get in this thing and make it do what it do, Baba. So with that, before we dive all the way in, though, I want to give a shout out to, we got several new members who joined the VIP membership. So shout out to y'all. We definitely got a lot more coming for y'all. I'm sure they probably saw that first video that we done, the first training session that we did already, but also to the new members to the regular community as well, the Ashe Tribe community. We appreciate y'all. Everybody who was showing love in the comments over the weekend, the past few days, like, appreciate y'all. I haven't been able to respond like I want to because I've been working outside of the house and outside, my normal routine. So I definitely have a lot more work to catch up on in regards to, responding back to the love and support, and also to highlight and showing extra love and support to those who have went the extra, distance to show us love and support. So we appreciate all of y'all family for sure. And so with that, bye-bye. Ready to get into it?
Man, the bus got to catch up with me, man.
Yes, sir. Already. I already know.
Waiting. I said, come on.
I already know. Yes, sir.
I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Let's get it. So today's topic, I always kind of, it sparks my interest. It always gets my spidey senses rolling to try to figure out, what kind of inspired the topics that you be coming up with, Baba, that be kind of, penetrating your ori, that you always have, the food for thought that you like to serve up and deliver to the community. So for today's topic, what was the inspiration behind this one?
Behind our worship and rituals and reverence.
Yes, sir.
Well, I just feel as though it's a great time to discuss it. We've hit so many areas. We've talked deeply about Orisha, Ori. We've talked deeply about Orunmila. We've explored the divinatory implements of Ifa, Dafa. Okay, we've taken this journey, this Iwakiri, if you will, this spiritual journey, to the point where people are leaning in. Okay, and it's dawning this level of consciousness, what we call Iwori. Okay, this spiritual transformation is happening. And I say, you know what? As whispers in the wind resound, now is the time to really put a finger on the pulse of what people are not just doing in terms of Ishe ritual, Ishe, the continuation of ritual, the work of ritual, not just what people are doing in terms of their offerings to the Orisha. We have Ebo Eje. We have appeasement offerings. We have Adimu, which are offerings of food, fruit. Okay. We have our prayers. All of this encompassing factors of faith. Okay. So what's the next step? The next step is to not so much question what we believe in, but to discuss it. Okay? Because it's evidently clear in every religious quote unquote setting that there are tiers or levels of those who participate in ritual and worship. Orisha ni masin. It is Orisha I will worship. And in terms of reverence, let me not forget Iba, Iba She, okay? The reverencing of ancestors, the reverencing of self to revere, okay? But the question up for discussion still remains, what do we really believe in? Okay. And that, Baba Orisha Bemi, Ojise, that is what brought about this brainstorm of discussing, not debating, because they're very, very complex statements, thought for food. Okay, how are these thoughts nourishing our people, if they are at all? What do we think about believing in Ifa Isheshe? What do we think about in terms of worship? And what are we thinking about in terms of reverencing? Okay. Now, I'm just going to offer my perspective. I won't even say teachings, to tell you the truth. I won't even say teachings. There are those who'll take it as teachings, you know, and of course I appreciate that, but it's not a pass fail kind of situation. It's not anything that's going to be tested by me or some paternal or authoritative organization. We're going to go around in the tone and like of an inquisition and make sure that you are doing what we say do the way we say do it. That to me, my people, would be counterproductive and somewhat hypocritical of Ifa Isheshe. Okay? But again, that's my opinion. Okay? But I can't dismiss the impact of authority and the impact of control that belief systems, you know, called religions, called beliefs, called forms of worship, even spirituality, and what it is that we reverence and why, that we give reverence to and why. What is it? Let me rephrase that. What is it that we revere and what is it that we give reverence to? Now, those factors and elements I must speak on because of the disruption via the Ma'afa, because of the current state of the world, okay, in terms of the delusional mind frame of well, I'm just going to call it what it is, white supremacy. Um, and I always, you know, statement that with delusional. Okay. However, because it has become authoritative, basically by militaristic conquest and conquering, and because it has, along with its conquering, continued a Greco-Roman kind of push via Constantine's uh, interpretation, or dare I say misinterpretation, of Christianity, that there comes about these compartmentalizations of how we worship, the what we worship, how do we get to that point via indoctrination, and how do we even defend that point regardless of the crushing blows that it reaps upon, that it destructs upon, the destruction destructs of our growing awareness of our pre-invasion existence. And why is it that so many of us, and I'm speaking specifically now of the African in America or in the Americas or in the diaspora, because we're in Europe and we're in Asia. Okay. How is it that our connect, okay, is not being reconnected with when we now have the opportunity to do so? Okay. And please, good people, step lightly with me, because I'm attempting to leave no footprints. Again, it's the wind that's whispering to me. All the answers won't be coming forth in 1 hour or two. But let's really think about it. I implore you. We're of Isheshe, okay? We're in a time bubble, okay, that's inside of a container that has been steadily compressing us into what it is that we actually believe in. How we go about expressing that belief, what happens when we don't express it in terms of our ancestral ways being outlawed, okay, criminalized, reduced to mere, nativism, aboriginal isms, and all lacking the basic constructs of higher mind, higher thinking, and deep spiritual and connectiveness to the essence of life and the essence of existence. Now, at this point, if there are any questions or comments, I'm open.
I see. Yeah, not yet. I don't see any yet, but I got a couple as usual. You know me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's right.
yeah, yes, sir. Shout out to the tribe that's joining us. Shout out to Queen Liquid Waters. Shout out to John, brother John Madison. Shout out to Pacific Dagwood. Shout out to the Cariday Nation in the building. But yeah, excuse me, Baba. I do have a few questions in
Yeah,
regards to the power of belief, right? The power of belief, worship, ritual, and reverence.
yes,
So yesterday had a had a very powerful meeting yesterday. I think you and I haven't got a chance to speak about it in regards to the experience that I had, but very, very powerful transmission in regards to energy. It was an amazing, I would say, training session
yes,
that I had with Baba Astarius Miraculi, who was on the podcast maybe like a week or two ago, but master healer. And we had a session, doing energy work. And the first time that I saw him, I think this is a total of 4 times I've actually worked with him in person, but each time was almost like a supernatural experience. So the first time we had a session, there was actually like, I feel like a form of kind of paranormal activity that took place during that session with energy, right? Making itself present and known. So yesterday, another situation like that, we're doing I believe it's called eye gazing. So we're doing an eye gazing session where you look directly in a person's eyes that's sitting across from you. And then, you do certain exercises with your eyes, but all the while trying to maintain focus. In this particular part of the session, Baba, I saw items materialize within his face. And it was surreal because one of them was a pyramid that came like right above or in the middle of the bridge of his eyes. From there, I saw an image of the Sphinx materialize, right? So I'm like, yo, this is nuts. And for the tribe and the family members who have seen the movie The Matrix, the best way for me to describe this situation is when the agents grabbed Neo and they took him and put him in the back of the car in like the very beginning of the movie, and they took the bug, like the chip that they chipped him with, and they put like this, it was like a robotic insect into his belly button, and it like pierced into his body and it shot through around, going through his body, like track him and do all kind of stuff to him. But in the movie, you could see the robotic bug moving under his skin. So my experience yesterday was I saw something similar to that, but it was in the form of comedic, pyramidal structures as well as the Sphinx. So I'll be damned if after we finish, I stand up and he had a picture on his shrine that looked exactly like the image that I saw. And I had never seen that picture because the angle that I was sitting at, I couldn't see it from the angle that I was sitting at when we were working. But then when I was getting ready to leave, I stood up and I saw, I'm like, yo, it was nuts. I'm going to share that picture because I'm actually buy it and share it on the channel. But I say all that to say, Baba, the power of belief. I've been believing in spirituality, African spirituality, melanated spirituality for as far back as I can remember. And I always remembered as a child, like the pyramids, I was always drawn to them. And I recall like always wanting to go, always studying, all that. But my question to you is there a subconscious knowingness and belief that we know something is real and that it's real to us because we have some sort of deeper or higher inner like connectedness to it? Or do you feel like when we come into the world, there's certain ideologies or certain principles that may be impressed upon us that we kind of take that on and then develop the power of the belief in it after the fact? So do you believe it's something that's kind of like already pre-programmed within us, or do you feel like it's something that after being exposed to a certain form, a form of information or visualization, that we then kind of can take that and then build and develop the power of the belief in the worship after the fact?
Well, my answer to that is, and I'll add some substantiation to it, is both. It's not an either or. It's a both. Okay. Uh, on one end, there's the genetic propensity. Okay. There are studies out, that kind of state that when we are born, we're born tabula rasa. We're born with a blank state. Okay. And everything that we experience is somehow carved into that blank state, and we become what the handwriting on the wall is, so to speak. Okay. There are studies more intense and later that state that such is not the case, that we are born with certain awarenesses, that we are born with certain capacities to perceive, and we are born with a continuation of elements of consciousness via our bloodline, via our genetics. And I would have to lean more towards we are born with certain awarenesses, just like people can talk about the trauma that's transgenerational. Okay. Well, there's also the not trauma, if you will. Okay, the dreams that a person may have, the quote unquote deja vu experiences that a person may have, the coming to understand via the spiritual practices that awaken dormant genes, dormant levels of consciousness, are all are part of my experience. So I can directly relate to you. And I truly feel as though many, if not most, who involve themselves in forms of spirituality, Eastern spirituality on the one hand, and then their Western spirituality, pre-Christian, okay, religions, practices, journeys that continue to exist unto this day as well. So, as a part of the human experience, and it might even go so far as the higher mammals in terms of brain size and capacity, there is the overwhelming abundance of evidence, both empirical and anecdotal. People will sit and tell you, like you just sat and said, like others can add to the chapter of the dawning of awareness, the spiritual transformation, the Iwari that we go through. And it is of no surprise that Iwari is the name of one of the major Odus within Ifa. Agbe Oyeku Iwari Ed, the top four. Okay. So that said, now combined, not on the other hand, but combined within our hands is what we've learned, what we've come to know as spiritual practices. Now, whether spiritual practices are definitively connected to worship and ritual, that could be a matter of how we shade it. There are more people who are inclined to worship. Okay, these types of individuals will probably be more at the Ojúbọ, you know, not only taking care of their shrines, but offering sincere prayer, invoking in all of this positive definitions of the term, the Orisha to come in and be a part of life, a part of their life. And at some point, at some point, the Orisha within awakens. Okay? So all of the exoteric, all of the outer worship not only has a spiraling up action, okay, but it also has a spiraling in action. And our ancestors realized this. They knew this. Okay? You may continually worship, be you at the Ojúbọ, be you at your shrine, be you at the natural, the nature of the respective Orisha, wherever you open yourself up to give, to worship, there's a double spiraling effect that many, I dare say, never get to realize because it's never part of the discussion. Okay. It's always give, give, give to the higher, 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 very external. And all of this is in part due to Western interpretation of the relationship between human beings and God forces. Okay. It's very external. And we're indoctrinated with this from birth in this society. Okay. Under this regime, okay, under this authority as it exercises itself through the theocracy, the theocratic, how do the priests determine what happens to the people? It's evident. It's evident. And how do people who now have a position, but their religious doctrine and indoctrination now becomes a part of their politics, prayer in school, uh, uh, church in school, and they're doing it, and they're doing it because they have the power to do it, regardless of whether it works or not, regardless of whether there are different cultures who have different insights, like what we're saying. Well, then, if you can teach Christianity in school, then why can't we teach Ifa in school? Why can't we have Orisha in school? If you can have Christian oriented celebrations, which are rituals every year around this time, Christmas, they're already starting the commercials. Everybody's getting geared up.
Oh, yeah.
The continuation, that's a ritual. And it's designed to have
Drain
an,
pockets.
yeah, well, on the spiritual, but it's still, for many, a very external thing.
Mm-hmm.
That spiraling inward is not, again, a part of the discussion. But when we get into Ifai Sheshe and under programs like Ashe, African spirituality experience, then we have to discuss the spirituality experience. And that is, all indications are, both by my epiphanies and revelations, and with the type of information that those epiphanies and revelations lead to, state emphatically that being involved with Orisha as a worship is a worship of the inner Orisha of self. That's not new. That's ancient. That's what has been taken away from us when we were dehumanized, despiritualized, de-worshipped, you know, as we would see the Orisha in one another. Deculturalized. We have to understand what happened, since the mid 1400s up until right now, in terms of the not only being reduced as human beings, but also being reduced as spiritual beings. Like I came across a piece, um, Amiri Baraka, Ibaye, okay, whom I did know when I was working at the Chad School in Newark with the Council of Independent Black Institutions. Amiri Baraka, Dr. Ben Jokanan, these were people who were coming by Newark, Newark was a major hub in Jersey. People coming by. But I caught an old clip, and he was discussing the African drum, and how in this country specifically the drums were outlawed because it became evident, to the domestic terrorists that we were communicating. And it's like every time them drums down, this was
Something pop off.
Something pop off
Every time.
So
do it.
We got to take those drums away. But what dawned on me as I was listening to him, yet again, is that they not only stopped us from drumming, they stopped the drummers from drumming. And they stopped that continual spiritual development of drummers. And they stopped the deepness of young men and women who became drummers, who walked amongst the people, radiating spirit, radiating the inner essence, and not just, again, being reduced to, we just half naked running around beating on drums. Yeah, there were groups of people who did that, but there were other groups of people who were dressed like we dress right now.
Right.
You understand? And who didn't, live in huts and all that kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but what I'm saying is we're only shown what they want us to see. And when they take away the power of those who've experienced greater than, like from the courts, the Shango drummers playing the bata drums, dressed in royal garb, sitting in splendor as rulers of empires, we don't see that. And we haven't seen it since conception. So even when we do see it, and this is where what I'm getting to, even when we do see it, my people, my question is, do we believe it? Do we believe it? We can go to the museums and see the royal grace and splendor of our ancestors and come right back and have a, I'll just call it like I see it, okay? A derogatory look upon our ancestral bearing. And then the question becomes, I'm just moving on from your question, Baba Orisha Bami. Hopefully I answered it.
Yeah, you did. Yes, sir.
You can have both. But the question now is, the statement now is, we can revere our ancestors and not believe in them. We can revere them.
That's deep, Baba.
Huh.
Can you?
And not be in the practice. For example, especially around this time. Now, mind you, I've been around for a minute. Okay? So I've seen some things in my days.
Oh, boy. I think you're about to start getting dangerous.
As a percussionist, I didn't have any problem if I get called to perform and it's in a church. And they got big churches in Newark now, okay? And little churches down in, South Jersey, wherever, But I'm doing it. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I have no fear of Christianity. I have no fear of the Abrahamics. Okay. I'm okay in my spot. So I'm not all hyped up behind it. And again, there's a love connection there, mother, grandmother, cousins, aunties, everybody. Okay. Everybody going to church. So what I believed in had nothing to do with the bonding that I was forming with my family. Okay. So it didn't really matter if I believed in this God or this book that was being read from. And I've still, people been pastors for 40 years and they still reading from the same book. I find that amazing, but it is what it is. I have nothing to do with that. Okay. But then I said, let me flip the script. Okay. Because if I can love my people and it has nothing to do with believing what they believe in, can there be individuals in Ifa Isheshe or not in Ifa Isheshe who have this ancestral kind of, my ancestors coming up through the 60s, and we're fighting for Black history in colleges, especially state-funded colleges like Rutgers, which I was one of the first Blacks to be, in, because of the movement at the time. It was like, okay, we got the history going. We're talking about our ancestors. We're trying to be ancestrally connected. But in every instance that I talked about, going to perform in these churches, being in the colleges, breaking through historically, the people were still believing in Christian doctrine. Okay. So the history of our people didn't change the belief, nor as a result, the practice. Okay. You still go to church. You still sing the same song, da 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 da. It's all right. And then you say, oh, that's African because of the beats and all that. Yeah, but my question is, what do you believe in? Okay. Now, you're revering, but you're not believing. See? So now I could say, I go to these churches and perform not jazz nights or whatever. You got to remember, churches even back in the day would bring in even people like James Brown. And there's even a church close to here, in the north vicinity, that has a little cafe on the side. And our band would go and we're playing Lionel Richie, and everything. And it's a little cafe setting. But that's nothing new when we really study our people. However, the focus is on what do we believe in. So we have the churches who have the Kwanzaa programs, and all they're bringing the musicians, and we're gonna we're not going to sing gospels, you know what I mean? We're singing black songs, quote unquote, but it's a reverence. Folks will get up and talk about ancestors. Some people will read their genealogies, but it doesn't change what their religious beliefs are. And this is where it gets deep, because now you may have belief in the power of your bloodline, regardless of what their names are, but you won't have belief in the African. You won't, you know. We have a tendency to struggle with the belief system that we were forced to submit. The belief system that we were forced to submit. Okay. And now that we don't have to, we're still psychologically chained. Okay. We are. And it's reinforced. So again, it's not like we're chaining ourselves, but we're not understanding because we're not discussing, we're not accumulating knowledge on a mass scale. Of course, there are people who are studying the psychological ramifications, okay, of a forced indoctrinating of a people from another culture. Okay,
I should.
you see.
Mm-hmm.
So the constant reinforcement, for example, I can look up a Yoruba term for worship. I can Google it. And of course I do. I try to keep up. Okay. And I try to understand the breakdown of the terminology. Okay. Like Agbe, okay? The spirit that saves. Oyeku, okay? The spirit that defeats death. Oyeku. So we start to understand, okay, through our study of the language, how our ancestors constructed what we know as Yoruba. But that's a deep discussion for a class setting in terms of how many syllables and vowels there are in the Yoruba language. Okay, 126. Okay, how many odus are there? Well, that's times two. Okay, and then the four majors.
Mm.
You see, so the language equates, and as I share with you and other uh, students, disciples. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
our woes, better for our woes, that each Odu is a symbolic vibration.
Mm. I should.
Okay? However, when we start to look at what we believe in, and what we've been indoctrinated to believe, and how that indoctrination is reinforced. We have to start looking at imprinting. You know, when that bird comes out of the shell, and they say, well, the first thing it looks like at that becomes its mother. Okay, well, the first religion that we're introduced to is imprinted upon us, and some of us struggle with it. I struggle with it. When they tried to baptize me, I refused. Not because I hated my mother, not because I hated the church that was in, but there was something inside of me, going back to your original statement, that just wouldn't allow me to do it. They couldn't force me to do it. And I wound up asking, I said, if you have to force somebody to be baptized, is that really a spiritual cleansing? Is that really a spiritual statement? I was 9 years old, if that.
Yeah.
You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
there is something inside of perhaps everyone that's tuning into this channel that says, I don't hate my mother. I don't hate the good people of the church. You know, I don't hate those who show reverence toward their ancestors, but still got this Eurocentric, kind of thing happening that's driving me crazy. I don't dislike them. They're my people. You know, I sometimes question why they hate me. You know what I mean? But then I start to understand that the indoctrination requires them to hate anything that's not reinforcing
Yeah.
authoritarian system
Yep.
of oppression.
Yes, sir. That's facts.
Okay. And it's not so much that they're hating me as much as they need to fulfill what they have accepted as their commitment to the faith. We got to make everybody Christian. We got to make everybody Muslim. We got to
Mm-hmm.
make everybody Jewish. We got to make everybody what we want to make them, instead of embracing the spirit within, so that the spirit within can be embraced.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real. And another thing too, Baba. I feel like, especially like what you're in regards to what you're speaking about with our people and our families, right? I feel like one of the biggest things is, people fear change. That's a major hurdle, or wall to break through, is change. And so when you have, someone like yourself or all of our Ashe tribe, or anybody who's into the occult and the, African traditional spiritual sciences and systems, it's foreign to those of us who were, raised in the diaspora. It's foreign to those of us who were raised, as captives of the Ma'afa. It's foreign to us, those of us who our ancestors were, on the plantations and part of the transatlantic slave trade. So it's like, it's very foreign for us to not know who and what we are by strategic design of the captors who, created the system that, it was instilled for the Ma'afa, that's still in place right now for most of the globe. So it's like, most of the people fear what they don't know, and they fear to not want to go because they don't know, right? But you can't know unless you go.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's one of them things where, when I feel like when that internal compass starts to point in the right direction, or when that internal voice of the ancestors, that internal voice of spirit, that internal voice of nature, that internal voice of the Ori, that internal voice of the Orisha starts to
Mhm.
speak into the psyche, or into the mind, into the ear, into the spirit of those who are ready, then I think it activates. And
Yes.
for me, I've always been of the school of thought where I always share consciousness like an alarm clock. Everybody's alarm clock is set to go off at a different time. So some people's alarm clock goes off when they're born. Some people's alarm clock goes off like you and I think you was not the youngest 9 years old. I was 6, 7 years old when I knew church didn't feel right for me. So it's like everybody's set for their clock to go off at a different time. And I think what we're seeing now is there's a lot of new clocks going off and awakening. You know what I mean? It's like, I see the migration from the systematic, Christianity, the traditional, Abrahamic Western cultural spiritual practices. I see the transition of that mass movement of people who are walking away from the churches and then just trying to figure it out because, okay, this doesn't feel right for me, but I don't know about all that. I don't know about Wudun. I don't know about Ifa. I don't know about Orisha. I don't know about all that stuff. I don't even know about divining and divination. Don't know that I want to know about it. However, I know I don't rock with this anymore. It's not filling me. It's not fulfilling to me.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I think that's where the blessing of this whole thing that's come together now with Ashe and all the moving parts that's been a part of Ashe, I feel like that's where we're in a position to really make a monumental shift, because now people can see and learn and hear about it without actually having to commit to it, but they can still get a sense of being poured into and getting real, raw, uncut, behind the scenes insight from someone who's decorated with well over 4 decades of research, of teaching, of studying, of learning, of sharing, at its highest level. And coupled with several other elders who, you know what I mean, who I see in the same light as yourself. So it's like now we're able to show people better than we're able to just tell people. And I think that's where we have the opportunity to really make a big splash with waking up more of our people in the masses.
Yeah. That's a profound insight, brother. That's a profound insight. Okay. And it is in one of the chambers of the heart. Okay, of the 4 chambers. Okay. It's in the chambers of the heart. Now, I would just like to add, because you laid it down so nicely. All right. That fear of the unknown. We have to look at why it's unknown. Okay.
Mm,
And in addition, okay, it's also the fear of punishment.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
There's been countless generations who have tried to revolt spiritually because of that, insight that you so wisely stated. But every time we step out, because for many, it may have been unknown, but they knew it. Okay. I don't know what it really is like. Okay. But there's enough around me to lend some validity to it, and especially in the early days of our being trafficked, when we had first, second, and perhaps even third generations being trafficked across the Atlantic Ocean. You see, so we still had that connection, though every time a child was born, either on that slave ship or on that plantation, you see, that connection became thinner and thinner and thinner until ultimately it appeared to be broken. Now, where those broken gaps came was, well, just like we changing your name, we giving you a new name. You will not have your Yoruba name, your Ghanaian name, okay, your Mandinka name. You will not have those names. You will have Eurocentric names, and those Eurocentric names, many of them were biblically orientated.
mm, mm,
Okay, so the tie to the ancestors, generations born here, okay, became tied with the biblical, and also tied with the punishment of not adhering to the authoritating, the authoritative, the authoritarians who stated that, oh, you will go to church, you will be Christianized. The doctrine of discovery states that I can Christianize anybody that I want to. You understand? And if they don't submit, like the jihad, okay, heads will roll, and they have. You see? So even when it was known to us, the fear made us kind of step back, because we were made examples of people like yourself and myself. We were made examples of, you drug out in the middle of all of our people, and horrifically dismembered. And the message was like cutting off that head and putting it on a post. It's like keep messing around here, and all y'all gonna end up like that. So we have to, we have to include that fear factor. Okay, not just fear of the unknown, but fear of death for even daring to step into the unknown, because the unknown is not as unknown, you know, as one might perceive. As we stated earlier, the inner calling is there. Okay, the inner essence is there, and for people uh, of us who became more so involved with the tribal nations that existed in this country. Okay, miscalled Indians, miscalled Native Americans. You know, I don't even like the term indigenous. Whatever name Europeans put on it, I'm like, yo, they were tribal nations. Okay, and our people mixed with them because we found, though they were unknown, there was something about them that we knew.
Mm,
You see,
mm,
and that's why so many of us have mixed blood. We
mm.
got Cherokee folks sitting up in here. We got Choctaw folks sitting up in here. You understand? So,
Blackfoot.
yeah, and the Seminoles down in Florida. Okay, the combination of many different people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there were many of us who did not fear the unknown. We escaped into the Everglades and the dismal swamps of North Carolina. We made our settlements. Okay, but we also had to keep our fear factor together because these terrorists, they were dragging us back even after Emancipation Proclamation.
Mm.
You see,
But,
you have to understand that. But moving on, the the necessity to believe is something that, and I like the term that you coined a few podcasts ago, and I find myself using it. The eternal self.
mm,
We have the internal self, but within inside the internal self is the eternal self,
I should.
and that eternal self becomes for Ifa Isheshe that which we are seeking,
Mm,
the eternal. Now we are set to seek it, and people say, "Oh, but that's spiritual. That's not religious."
mm,
But when we look at it from an ancestral perspective, what's the difference between being religious, and being spiritual? These are Western teardowns, and many of the people who were writing about the African religion and spirituality were European missionaries, be they
mm,
Portuguese, Spanish, English, Dutch. It doesn't matter. They were coming. Many didn't even spend 2 weeks with the priestly. They
mm,
just came in with preconceived notions of the noble savages.
mm,
Yeah, but you sitting up in their courtyard, you know, but you refuse to believe, even
mm,
though you're looking at it.
mm-hmm.
Refuse to believe.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of Shikanta Diaz's work.
Yeah.
Shikanta proved
Oh,
without a shadow of a doubt that all the ancient Kemetic, kings,
mhm.
queens, priests, priestesses, were all, melanated descent. But yet they still, I mean, mind you, this man is a master anthropologist now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and they still would not accept, the facts that he laid out in front of them, which is
Yeah.
fine, but the facts are there. The
Yeah.
writings on the wall in the temples of Kemet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but
Forget that
just
part.
just because that wasn't enough, let's just go ahead and break it down anthropologically. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying, brother. Belief, as I wrote, the same way Dr. Washington put his 1-2s in Black Defender
Yes.
in
Phenomenal piece of work.
Place of Nights, War and Resurrection. When Amina is having this, discourse with the surreal being Buluku, she questions the this entity about the power of belief. And the response was, Beluga said, "Look, I know belief. I know belief well. And Belief doesn't care what you believe in. Belief doesn't care who you believe in. All belief is concerned about is you believing. And as a reward for your believing, you're given certain insights and certain powers and certain strengths that you may not be able to grasp if you don't believe, if you have no belief. And therein lies the power of belief. But as he continued, belief is a lesser God, striving for ascension. Okay? Because we don't even discuss believing in belief. We just discuss what we believe in.
Hey, can you let me ride that back? Can you say that again for the people in the back, Baba? I'm sure some people
Okay.
heard it, but that's kind of deep. So I think we might need to get a remix on a rerun on that one, Baba.
Yeah, because as we strive for the internal, okay, we get to the eternal. And there we find the core of belief. On this inward journey, this iwari, as we are transforming ourselves spiritually, of this on this spiritual journey, iwakiri, as we're struggling to understand what it is to be a cosmic reality. Okay, we find belief there, belief as a grounding force, if you will, of not only our faith, but also our intellect. Okay. Now, we will discuss what we believe or do not believe in, but we rarely discuss believing in belief.
I like that. That's deep. And you know what that reminds me of too, Baba? Is two things actually. But one is I was gonna go with the second one first, but I'm gonna go with this one first. One is love, self-love,
Yes.
love thyself. It's one thing like to work on knowing thyself, but how many of us can honestly say that we were taught how to love thyself?
Shay.
I can speak for myself personally. I wasn't. No disrespect to my
No.
moms, you know what I'm saying? None of my family, because I give thanks and I would not trade my tribe for anything or anybody in the world. If I could do it over again, I'll pick everything exactly the same because that's what made me who and what I am. However, I also know based off of my own personal, studying and researching and, due diligence and learning more about our history culturally, familially, community and culturally, like, there's so many different dynamics of coming from that ma'afa. You know what I mean? So it's like we weren't taught how to love ourselves. So I didn't really learn how to love myself until I was like 35.
You understand?
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like I had a lack of confidence or, didn't care about myself. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't none of that. It was like I had never up until that point really even thought about or even realized, do you love yourself? And if you do, what does loving yourself look like?
Yeah.
How do you exemplify that you love yourself?
Right.
What are some of the things that you now know or are changed or different because you have this quote unquote love of self? So me personally, it was boundaries, setting boundaries and not allowing people to come across those boundaries, or if they cross those boundaries, to know and have the wherewithal to cut those people off and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? Or energy, keeping my energy in a certain place, in a certain space, in a certain elevated frequency, to where if somebody comes into that space and tries to bite and suck on some of that like a mosquito or a parasite, I gotta cut that loose and walk away from that place too. Because it's like at the end of the day, if you can't be the best you for you, then who can you be the best for?
Oh man. Whew. Good people out there. I really hope you see this time as monumental, because see, we there are a lot of people. Oh, I want to know more about Orisha. Okay, fine. Okay. Oh, I want to know more about this Odu. Fine. I want to know more about this ritual. Fine. Okay. We can continually cover those topics ad infinitum, infinitely. Okay. But look how long every other religion has been around, and every other, form of exercising or expression that religion is around. Ours is older by thousands and thousands of years.
Mm.
We are attempting to reconnect the connection.
Mm. I should.
Now, I'm going to add to the mixture, okay,
Mm-hmm.
about love and self. Okay, very, very important. Okay, and on the other side of not loving self is hating self, self hate. Okay, and how subtle is that on one side, and on the same side, half of the one side, is how that self hatred is projected and
Mm.
promoted and, you know, pound into the dark side of religious indoctrination.
Mm.
You're not going to see any black angels. You're not going to see any black gods. You're not going to see any black prophets. You're not going to see any melanated. And the longer we go with this, the less melanated it's going to become. Johnson and Johnson put on the front of their magazine, Ebony, back in the 60s, pictures of a black Christ.
Mm.
Black preachers had a fit. They wind up having to recall the magazine. Okay? It was so
I could hear Malcolm's voice screaming in my head. Who taught you to hate yourself?
exactly.
I hear it
It's a
screaming in my head.
it's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
How many people would dare to open their mouths and speak it?
Mm.
Okay? We know who taught it to us. The same people who stripped us from love of self,
Mm.
even love of family. And you want to
Mm.
talk bad about single mothers? Well, you would have run breeding. You were the ones who took the fathers out. You were the ones who created this monster, and
Mm.
now you're going to demonize it and say, "Look at them." Yeah, look at us. This is the poison,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that you brought into existence. But now, since you don't want to deal with it, or find another reason to diminish us and bring us into self-hatred, okay? Now it's really not a problem, but we're just going to make it appear to be one. We're going to blow it up because it lends to the self-hatred,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Every time you hear single mother or the father's locked up or this, that, or the other thing, it's bam, bam, bam. It's
All
more than
indoctrination, though.
Mhm.
I said it's all propaganda and indoctrination, though.
Yeah, but it's serving its purpose.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw that last night in the movie, that Gladiator 2 movie. I was extremely disappointed, and
Yeah,
extremely disappointed.
I wanted to try to tell you, but
Well, listen, I mean, listen. It was for edutainment purposes.
okay. But so what happens is that, as we're seeking to self-love, self-hatred is like, you know, uh, okay. And so here we come with our ancestral expression of existence
Mm.
and say, oh, I got something for you, self-hatred.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
It's
sir.
called Ifa. It's called Isheshe. Okay? It's called my Ori. It's called Orisha. It's called Iwori, my spiritual transformation. Oh,
Mm.
self-hatred? You think you bad?
Mm.
Step your butt up in here and let me
Mm.
show you what the real spiritual power is about.
Mm. Yes, sir.
Okay? Because if I'm not applying my belief system now, because I have to believe in Orisha, I have to believe in not just, oh, I'm going to revere my ancestors. No, I have to believe in their conceptualization of the cosmic eternal and dismiss these, as you stated, propaganda like images of Tarzan in the jungle and, you know, the natives kind of thing. We have to come out of that. But see, if we don't lend belief to breaking free of that, evidently we're not strong enough to do it. And we can become academically, you know, astute. You know, we got PhD folks walking around hating African religion, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So the academics is not changing the belief system. It's not transforming us. As a matter of fact, it's kind of making us a little bit even more into the we ain't having that. I'm going with this.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the
we
miseducation of the Negro, Baba, like
got,
Carter G. Woodson's work, like, I
yeah,
mean, he really, 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 I mean, he laid down like the blueprint to,
you know,
one of the blueprints to like really
yeah,
get into the deep, the depths of how deep this goes psychologically.
yes, yes, yes. And I'm not saying that everybody's like that. I mean, look at
Right.
Dr. Washington. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as the majority, you know, a lot of business meetings I used to go to, you know, in establishing the school there in Orange, you
Mm-hmm.
know, folks got their degrees and, you know, they're politician and everything, but they just seem determined to start off a meeting with the Lord's Prayer. And I'm like, why? This is a freaking business meeting.
Yeah.
Know? We're here for business, but you keep feeling that you have to, you know, make
Yeah.
sure. Hmm?
I'm sorry. No, I was saying they keep feeling they got to acquiesce, and like um, conform to the societal norm.
Yeah, but it's so unnecessary. We in
Right.
a business meeting. You know what I mean? But you feel as though that's a part of what you, I dare say, believe in, and now
Yeah.
you have to express that belief. And I'm like, I'm not Christian, you know. And if you pass the wine and the wafers around, I will simply say no, thank you. You know, and I have done that. When I was playing with the church band, they hired me to make the band better. And the next thing you know, predictably, now I got to be converted. I'm like, no, I don't.
You didn't want to drink the blood of the lamb?
No, thank you. No, I'm good. It's all right. And now I'm going to be demonized. So I'm like, you know what? Where my little bicycle? I'm riding up on out of here. Do you see the sunset? I'm going that way
I know
because
that's right.
you can't seem to help yourself,
Mm,
you know. And
mm,
don't even think the work that I did and how I moved those musicians up. Oh, we ain't even going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this demon who refuses to, you know, get in line, this pagan. Okay. And I'm like, you know what? That's the name of my bicycle. Come on, pagan. We up on out of here.
oh man, you're a
Because
mess.
I don't, you know, well, but back to your statement. Are they doing it to change me, or are they doing it because they feel as though they have to fulfill themselves?
Mm, I
And
would
if
say
that's
that.
the case, I feel as though you're a very empty person. I don't care how many times you go to church. I
Yeah,
don't care how many times you praise the Lord. If
yeah,
you feel as though there's nobody else on the planet who can be other than you can't understand somebody being not like you, that makes you, from my center, an empty person. I can accept you, so why can't you accept me? If your belief system is so, you know, godly, then why can't you understand? Even going back to your example about Shoutout Diop, why can't you look at the facts? Why can't you look at the facts and be so moved by the facts and not by your faith?
mm,
Because you're empty. That's
yeah,
what empty people do, man.
yeah.
I work with these college students, right? And two quick examples that kind of substantiate where I'm coming from. Now, mind you, I'm the professor in the class, so what I'm telling you or sharing with you, I should say, is
Mm,
an actual, you know, situation.
mm,
A young man in there, got to be about mid 20s, And somehow or another, we got, started talking about, prehistory, because, I teach the origins of writing and all of that. And um, somebody said something about dinosaurs. And he was like, there was no such thing as dinosaurs. Of course, everybody stopped, looked at the young man, and was like, okay, all right. Now, me being me, I'm like, explain your position. Okay. What makes you say that, man? Well, dinosaurs never existed. And I said, well, okay, what about, like the bones in the museums? You know what I mean? And the, what they're pulling up from the tar pits, and, the imprints on the rock and all of that kind of thing, of early life forms. He said, none of that matters. I said, how can it not matter? And who told you there was no such thing as dinosaurs? He said, my preacher. And I was like, okay. And this wasn't the first time I heard, you know, some religious corners that all of this talk about, prehistorics and dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff wasn't God, because it wasn't mentioned in the Bible and yada yada yada. So okay, well look, I'm not gonna argue with you, man. I mean, everybody got what they got to say. There ain't no right or wrong in here. Okay. But I said, if you're in an academic environment and you say something like that, please be ready to back it up with something more than your preacher said so. Okay.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
were the fossils were just created by AI?
But
Like,
but no, we going back before AI
that's what
was,
I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so what? Did Marty McFly travel from Back to the Future into the future, use
yeah.
AI to create fossils, then trap it back? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like with Doc, like, come on, the DeLorean ain't do all that, man.
oh, man.
Come on now, people.
And,
Come
and, and
on.
the second situation is that, um, you know, group of sisters, middle age, down sisters, got a little Caribbean flavor to them. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, we're doing well in the class and all that. But then they got to the point where they felt as though they had to, act like they was in church, because evidently they were the same church. And I said, okay, sisters, I get it. You know what I mean? And you really feel as though believing is going to help you study, but don't forget to study, because if you believe you're going to pass the test and you don't study, okay, um, may be a problem, okay. But I said, but why do you feel as though it's so necessary for you to like go through all this kind of religious thing uh, during class? you know well, the Lord this and the Lord that. And I said, you know what? It's very interesting to me. And perhaps you can help me to understand that why you as a woman or you as women would be so embracing of a paternalistic religion that basically faults you for the sin of the world and has cast upon you the sin of menstruation, which is the blood flow literally of life. I said, I told I'm just curious, why is, well, that's the way we were raised. That was their response. And I said, well, that answers the question. Okay. So let's just rest with, that's the way you were raised. And y'all stop praising the Lord up here in my classroom, you know, every 5
What about you
minutes.
didn't like it? You didn't like that?
No, it's not that I didn't like it. And it's not like I didn't understand it.
Gotcha.
It's just like Dr. Washington was saying in your last podcast, it's the wrong venue.
Yes, sir.
Remember you were talking about that?
Man, I love that, man. My man went in on that thing. I love some of them the metaphors and bombs he was dropping.
I was like, what did he just say?
He was going in. He was
But
going
it's
in.
the wrong venue. You
Yes.
you have your belief. That's you. Ain't nobody trying to take that away. I got enough of people trying to take something away from me, and I got to fight to keep it and then grow it too, in spite of the opposition. Like Ifa Ishe. Now, at the time, I was one of the few African Americans, quote unquote, who were going to Nigeria and coming back. Wasn't going to Cuba. I had been to Puerto Rico. Later on, I was in Trinidad, you know. But the whole thing is that I was Nigerian made. And that Ashe, that air I breathed, and those words I heard, those were the planting of seeds of thought, deeper introspection, and also the nurturing elements of a belief that was lingering inside of me, dormant, but yet still making its presence known. You are more than this. Believe in yourself. Believe in this eternal self. Is it difficult to do if you don't love yourself? I would say yes, not impossible, but difficult. How you going to believe in yourself when you don't even love yourself?
Mm.
You know? And I deal with that with students now because, see, I'm constantly sharing the insights of Ifa. Okay. A lot of my students, the 11th and 12th graders now, pre-college, I hear the word I can't so much. Going back to your statement about the unknown.
Mm.
I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't read a whole book. I can't do this. I said, you know what? We're gonna stop using that phrase. We're gonna stop using it. And this was just last week. So
Mm.
we're gonna stop using that phrase. Then I told them about the little train that could. I had them cracking up. I don't know. Maybe older folks know that one.
I remember that.
Right. I
The little
can't.
engine that could. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And then when it changed those words and started talking about I can, then miraculous things started happening. Okay. So I said, I'd rather hear I'll try than I can't, because I'm not giving you impossible work. I'm just giving you isheshe. I'm giving you work that's transformational and not just sitting up in here and not growing and not being transformed. Not while I'm standing here.
Mm.
Okay. I know that's what you've been used to all the way through your school. I know that's what church folks been used to. Like the women told me, well, that's how we was raised.
Mm.
As if that really answers the question, you know. But I have to accept that and kind of, open up a new avenue, because perhaps maybe one out of the four of them went back and thought about that. Well, why am I putting so much into this, Jesus is my husband kind of thing, you know, as opposed to I'm a woman. I need to love myself. I'm a melanated woman. I'm in a college course. I'm trying to better myself, you know, and maybe I need to love myself and believe in myself a little bit more so that I can achieve my goals. See, so you know, uh, something else you said that was really tight, man, about programs like this assisting people to better understand, to better know that this is not the unknown.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
you know it,
Mm.
you feel it, you probably even believe that there's something more, but what you don't have is the tools to get there.
Mm.
You don't
Ashe.
have words to articulate it. You don't have a circle of kindred, to reinforce you, as opposed to people telling you, oh, you crazy, don't get into that voodoo stuff and all that kind of thing, you know. But on the other end, which you are discovering through Ashe channel, is that this is pretty deep. And they got books. You understand? They got books. It's not just about going and, sacrificing, you know, 40 chickens, and every time you turn around, you got, get something spooky going to happen. It's like, no, they having intelligent conversations. They're writers, they're producers, okay? They got businesses. And you know what? I can be in it and never have an initiation. Everybody who's sitting up in that church, they ain't go to theology school. Everybody who's sitting up in that church can't be the pastor. Everybody who's in that masjid is not the imam, or neither hold any position. You know, everybody's not a rabbi in the Jewish, you know what I mean, or hold any position. But they're of that consciousness line. They're of that my people line, you know? And I may not be worshiping, okay, in their way, but I have my spiritual thing together. I'm going in, okay? Um, I'm working on the reverence. Okay. I got to learn more about my ancestors. I got to learn more about the empires. I got to learn more about, you know, the psyche of my people prior to European and uh, Islamic invasion. Well, Islamic first and then European. Okay. But the information is out there, and they're teachers. They're teachers out there. I never knew that before. Or somebody told me I had to go get, you know, readings, and I had to pay, you know, and I don't really want to get into all that, but I still want to be a part of it. And what we're saying is, come on, come on, come on, be a part of it. You know, you don't have to be a priest or a priestess. It's like that's ridiculous. You know, and there's a whole lot of words I can put on how that whole mechanism came into play, but it's not all the necessary. Do you have to belong to an elay? No. Do you have to belong to a church to be Christian? Come on, people, let's start making sense and step away from the syncretism, which has that authoritarian and financial dimension pretty strong, you know, coming from the whole Catholicism. Okay. But that's a reality. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. Okay. But we be free now,
I say,
you
yes,
know?
sir.
So people can support Ifa Isheshe with their energy, their kindness, okay, their standing up, okay, their articulation, their search to accumulation of knowledge, okay. They can support the institutions. You don't have to follow this bouncing ball that somebody else created. You think everybody in the village was running and getting a divination every 10 seconds? Or everybody in the empire was making their bows every night and every day? It's like, come on, slap, slap, slap. You know, let's start being for real. Let's start approaching this like, you know, grown-ups with clear vision, you know, and not duplicators of some twisted form of ritualization. Did you say your prayers tonight? Well, if you didn't say your prayers, you know the Lord's not going to bless you. I'm like, well, really? Then what kind of Lord is that? You know? Now, going back to a statement you made about the money. Well, if you don't pay the money, then God don't like that. I mean, really? So what kind of God is that? You know? And then there's the whole fear of the end of days, and you're born into the world as a sinner. None of that is in E5. I've been in this a while, and I've never came across an old dude that says, you know what? God's coming down. Oludumar's coming down. He's going to wipe out humanity, and, you know, and the dead going to rise and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, really? Yo, really? Really? There's no apocalyptic. Say that 10 times, right? Apocalyptic, you know? There's none of that. But we're so imprinted and indoctrinated that, you know, we got to do right. How many years folks been walking around with the world coming to an end? And I put in place of nights, you know, how, you know, there were priests talking about, well, the world is coming to the end again.
Mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean? It's like we all just kind of get this flow that, You know, it's going to be the end. It's going to be the end. It's going to be the end, as opposed to it's going to be the beginning. It's going to be the beginning. And that's what Ifa is sharing with us. It's always the beginning, the possibilities of new beginnings.
I'm trying to figure out the world coming to an end again. If the world came to an end, we ain't here right now, man. So
That's what I'm talking about. But see, that's the logical fallacy that I find in the Abrahamics. You know, is that okay? Well, the world's going to come to an end and the day going to rise. Then what's the point? You know, what's the point of the dead rising if the world's coming to an end? That is a logical fallacy. But if that's what people want to believe, let's hope that they don't make it a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is a whole nother statement. If you believe something strongly enough and long enough, you turn whatever the situation is into your belief. And that's another power of belief.
yeah, that's
If
real.
you put out to a mass of people that you're superior to another group of people, then everything now starts to shape itself according to what you have those people believing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Every
real.
white person believe they better than a black person, even though they obviously are not, but they've been twisted
Hmm. They've
to
been
the
indoctrinated too to believe that.
exactly. And that's the point. Belief doesn't care what you believe in. You're empowered by it. And you can take these same people and send them to all the diversity training and all the mass churches and whatever, wherever else they going. But that superiority complex, that ain't going anywhere because the reward for it is privilege beyond the process. You
Mm.
see?
Oh yeah, I see what you did there too.
Yeah, okay. Don't tell
Yep,
nobody.
yep. But nah, look, nah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
All right, but see, this is when I state the power of belief. And I know a lot of folks think, well, you know, we're going to walk on water kind of thing. No, 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 no. It ain't about walking on water. Okay, it's about going in and unshackling. Okay, the the trauma that prevents us from the internal, which is a road, if you will, to the eternal. Let's learn to live eternally, like our ancestors are continuing to live eternally. However, it will happen on one level, the physical level, genetically. All right. As long as we're able to exist, we will continue to procreate, and that eternalness will be there, but it will lie dormant. It will lie untapped as a resource of empowerment unless we go in, unless we spiral in, unless we worry, unless we have a spiritual transformation from within. We can have it as far as our worship, at our ojubo, at our shrines, but we can't get caught up into the Orisha or out there. We can't continue a systemic disbelief in self. We can't continue a systemic lack of love for self. These are all roads to development and empowerment and the unleashing of potentials that we perhaps have never fathomed. Okay. And yeah, we see other people doing great things, be they Christian, Muslim, Jews, Buddhists, you know, whomever, you know, or people who claim themselves to be atheists.
Yeah,
Okay.
I should. I mean, at the end of the day, I
Yeah.
always like to throw this out there just to be clear because I'm all for if you got positive energy and you know what I'm saying, you show me love and respect, I show you love and respect. I'm giving you positive energy. So it's all about reciprocity. Because in all honesty, I don't care who you pray to. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care about none of that. If you show me love, I'm showing you love. You show me respect, I'm showing you respect. It don't matter. You know what I mean? I feel like, and I've said this I don't know how many times on our platform, but it doesn't matter who you pray to. If you are striving to live and serve in the light of a child of godness, then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you call that God. You know what I'm saying? It just so happens that a lot of people in that system of Christianity believe that it's their God or no God, and they have
That's
a
what I'm saying.
superiority complex. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying? So it's like,
that's the problem.
nah, you know what I mean? Like that, that's, you know, and that's where I feel like that's where a lot of the riffraff and a lot of, you know what I'm saying, the bumping the heads and the clash and all that comes from, is because their mindset and the way I feel like a lot of people have been conditioned under that spiritual system of belief that
Yes,
they're superior, just like the white inferiority, wannabe
yes,
supremacy, you know what I'm saying,
yes.
conditioning or indoctrination or probably all that too.
Mhm.
Same thing, because there are white people who that do speak the truth and that do know what real history is and that do knows, you know what I'm saying, what it really is. And I respect that because they're speaking the truth. Some of
Yes,
them sacrifice their lives to speak the truth, just like some of us do. So
for
those
sure.
are the people who I feel like are freedom fighters, regardless of faith, skin color, whatever, because you're doing your work for the cause of humanity. You're doing it for the right reasons, for the one race that there is, which is the human race. But
Uh,
that is a really large disconnect with those people who I feel like that's Bible thumpers and spiritual gangbangers. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if you ain't part of their gang, then you other gang, and you know what I'm saying, and they want to war with you. But it's
or
like it ain't even gotta be like that, because if you got the love and the respect, that's all we should have to need for each other. Like
yes,
Mary J. Blige said, "Love is all we need." You know what I'm saying? Like it get rid of a lot of the other BS to me. That's just my little thoughts.
but see, and that goes back to the emptiness of
Yeah.
those who are in power, but not empowered.
Mm.
You know,
Oof,
that's emptiness. That's pure and simple.
I like that.
I got to keep filling myself with everything and everybody
Mm.
because I am a bottomless pit.
Mm.
And if I would dare equate that with hell, then I would. Okay, that bottomless pit that you in is hell bent on dragging everybody down into it. You know, and that makes you hell spawn, right? And the only way to stop that, people, are more the rule than the exception. In most cases that we speak of. I mean, true, there were white folks who fought in the Civil War. You know what I mean? And they may have had their reasons, but slavery was a part of it. You know, there were many different people doing all kinds of things. Jewish people owned slaves and uh, supported plantations economically, and some of them owned a slave ship building. But when our historical leaders were speaking out, about these things, oh, that's anti-Semitic. No, it's not anti-Semitic. We're telling the truth. It's documented. So, why are you getting yourself all the because you want to defend your belief, and you want everybody to continually believe that A, you're the chosen people, and B, you've suffered the greater Holocaust. What Leopold of Belgium did to our people in the Congo makes your little experience a blink in the eye.
Mm.
A blink in the eye. Your 6 million people have nothing to do with the 30 million people that were slaughtered by the European people in the Congo itself. You know,
Or dare we say the Ma'afa,
the whole
also known as the transatlantic slave trade, where we're talking about upward numbers of hundreds of millions of Africans.
And now let's add to that, my brother, the East Coast with the Arabs,
Mm.
you know? And,
Mm.
as kids, we come up watching, the Aladdin and the 40 Thieves and, stuff like that. And they would always have, black folks, they're guarding, the women and all that. But that was before we knew about harems and eunuchs and how they would castrate our men because they didn't want them getting with the women and set them to guard over the women and the countless millions on the East Coast, how we are sitting here today and having these discussions is
Profound.
eternally,
Black excellence.
eternally, because it couldn't be just worldly, or we would just be so devastated by the horrors, okay, that we would be silent. We would be silent and literally in the shadows of our
Mm.
own existence.
Mm.
But again, to kind of bring things to another a close, if you will, another point, and that is thinking about the power of belief,
Mm.
okay, and how what we call
Baba,
Igbagbo, Igbagbo,
how you spell
okay,
that?
belief. Igbagbo is seen. That's religious belief in Yoruba, okay, and really kind of not so much question our faith or our logic, you know, but question our hearts and our souls.
Mm. I should.
And will reverence lead to spirituality? And will spirituality lead to worship? I know those were my stages. The reverence came from the 60s, okay? The political, the historical. Then the dawning of spirituality, the candles, the statues, you know what I mean? The African movement from within,
Yes, sir.
uh, taking on, like little street names, to put the government name to the side a bit, the
Mm-hmm.
street names. Spirit was dawning, getting into theater as a form of ritual, the ritualization, the continual work of the Isheshe, going out, giving talks. It was a transformational, but transformational does not dismiss the evolutionary.
Mm.
The evolutionary becomes the revolutionary.
Mm.
So we move forward beyond the spiritual, but yet still everything's still connected now. Remember, we're not in an either or Western
Yeah.
European world.
Mm-hmm.
Now the spirituality leads to the form of worship. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, Orisha shrines, okay, African deities. And the next thing you know, African divinity.
Mm. I
Not
should.
just a cliche, but a realization and then an actualization.
Mm.
Because once I realize it, it's on now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Hey.
now we're actualizing. Now we're writing books. Now we're giving lectures. Now we're traveling the world. Now we're on our Shea podcast. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's actual.
Hey, now we're healing people,
Ah,
educating people, empowering people, enlightening people,
yes, sir.
pouring into people, elevating vibrational frequencies with people, elevating and clearing the auras of people. Like there's just so many different dynamics. Being therapriests to the
Yeah.
people, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Not sure. Bye bye.
Yeah. People chiming
Rich
in.
people,
What's up?
huh?
Everybody quiet tonight. What's up? Sunday night?
I,
What's going on, people?
yeah, I think everybody is soaking it all in. I know that's what I'm doing, but they hear, we hear, everybody, they throwing them in there. But ritual. This is
Yes.
one that and I feel like I got a grasp of where you are in your corner of the universe in regards to ritual. However, I wanted to kind of pick your uh, expertise,
Okay.
in regards to your decorated career and resume over the past 4 decades. Though I wanted to figure out, in regards for newcomers and people who are new to the faith, new to the practice, new to Orisha, Isheshe, or even just African spirituality as a whole, generalized, right?
Mhm.
Where would you say, and I'll go with three, where would you say would be the most significant three uh, rituals that a brand new devotee might want to incorporate into their spiritual practice, as well as maybe someone, I'll even use, shout out the Queen, I'll use her as an example, as well as someone who's much further along in their spiritual journey than, a new devotee? Like, can I get three rituals that you feel like are necessity for a brand new devotee that can kind of help, to go from step one, step two, step, to kind of elevate throughout their process in this tradition that's new to them. And then after that, if we can kind of come back and give maybe three, I feel like, necessary or mandatory rituals for people who are further along, like even myself, in regards to creating and developing consistency and dedication, so that we can start to see like the manifestation or crystallization of the works, that's chartable, or that's what do you call it, measurable results.
Okay. All right. So we have three initial rituals, and then we'll have three intermediate rituals.
Asha, thank you.
Now, again, this is from my corner of the universe. Different elays, different people. Like what's the difference between a reverend and a preacher? What's the difference between a preacher and a minister? What's the difference between the different types of babalaos we discussed? What's the difference between a babalao and even within the Ifa cosmology, mediums and healers slash herbalists or physicians? So depending on the individual, they're going to be different responses. But as they say, many roads, okay, can all lead to the same destination. Okay, and many ports of entry can lead to the same destination, right? So the first ritual that I would share for people who are coming out of the uh, Olakberry stage, the stage of unknowing. But I'd like to add to that definition unpracticed, okay? Because I believe that we do know, okay? We're just not unchained from it. It's not unchained, okay? So we're trying to know what we feel to know, if you can follow it, okay? Now, what we have is basically a return to nature. That would be the first type of ritual, okay? This step does not necessarily require mentors, uh, hierarchies, and structures, okay? This is just the becoming Orisha. They're on the bridge from being the uninitiated to the initiated, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That bridge is an opening to the nature of life, the cycles of life,
Mm-hmm.
being able to, through consistent walks on the beach, for example, to look at it more than a simple walk on the beach, you know, to be under a starlit sky, a little bit more than just being out at night, you know, to start really working from within on that feeling of I belong. I belong in nature. And as I continually echo, I am nature. So let me relax my breathing when I take this walk. Let me listen more intently to the birds when I take this walk. You know, let me try to breathe a little bit more calmly. Say, I can turn this into a ritual, which now enhances my spiritual, okay? Respiration, okay? So that would be the first stage, you know, spending time developing a connection on a consistent basis, ritually immersing self in nature, okay? And if you can't get out because it's snowing outside, spiritual baths, lighting the candles, bringing a spiritual warmth to yourself via your home, okay, via your life situations. Okay. All right. That would be one. And of course, we can get, deeper into it during class.
No, that's dope, Baba. I love it because I had no idea where you was gonna go with it. I knew you was gonna go somewhere, but that wasn't what I expected. But please keep going. I don't want to even.
No.
Please keep going.
Yeah. And see, this is where our practices in Reiki, yoga, I would dare say Tai Chi had a very huge part in me becoming a therapist. Okay, as you stated.
Shout out to Baba Ogun Tolu, man, because he might be watching. I don't
Yeah,
want him. Look, I don't want him to come to snatch me up later for
give him some
using his
power.
term without giving the creative credit to him. So shout out to the Baba Goon, man. That's his term
Yeah,
that I borrowed for the day.
yeah. It's
That's
funny
love.
having those same guys. Uh, that's what I'm saying. Difference between a priest and they're all Western connotations.
Yep.
But when we start lending our empowerment to terms and we tear them apart and then put them back together,
Put that ashe on that thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, now we cooking now.
Mm.
We're cooking with gas now. All
Yeah,
right.
buddy.
So yeah, and taking these spiritual practices that would seemingly have nothing to do with Ifa and Isheshe, but yet they're spiritually enhancing us because of the nature by which they were built, doing sun salutations. Well, you're supposed to be close to the sun or thinking about the sun, but you're stretching your body. Your body starts to speak to you like it's your temple. Okay. And it's like, okay, I'm starting to get a grasp of me being more than this shackled individual, you know, still spiritually enslaved. Okay. So all of these types of practices come into play. All right. Step one. Step two, continue to accumulate information. Okay. This whole thing about I don't like to read, got to bust out of that. We are the inventors of reading and writing. Okay. That's not, you know, uh, a Black Power statement. That's historically documented. Okay. So we can start to accumulate books that kind of speak to our growing spirit. There may be books on meditation. There may be books on fasting. There may be books on dietary directives. Okay. Some of us become vegetarians and then vegans. Right. Some of us say, well, okay, but I need to stay off this sugar, whatever it is that's going to enhance the body. That would be the second step, to include colonics, enemas, okay, purging, cleaning out years of accumulated toxins in our bodies. Needless to say, Anybody who takes up that practice will be amazed at how much waste we carry in our bodies. Even if we are moving our bowels and flushing our system on a consistent basis, there's still 10 pounds, if not more, of waste accumulated in our intestines.
That's the real thing, Bob, because I started doing it last year.
Yes.
Uh, the the cleanses and all that, and I'm proud to say like, I'm a very regular person per se. Like I'm happy about that. But I thought I was being someone who was regular, and
Mhm,
it had a
mhm,
very regular system.
mhm.
I would have never known that that much
So
was still
much was
in
in
there
it.
until I saw or
Yeah. That's
experienced the
right.
process. I was like, there's
Uh,
a lot going on up in there, boy.
what?
Whole lot. So that's real. And I felt the difference too, though. I can see it in
Yeah.
my skin. I felt it in my energy,
Yeah.
my mood. It was a lot of pros that came with doing that. Matter of fact, it's about that time again coming up soon again this
Yeah.
year. So,
Yes. Yes. So, but see, we seem a little shy about, talking about, these aspects. But if we're going to be healers, how can we not talk about ways to cleanse the body? You don't think that the ancient Commetans were learning, because they learned it from the Iblis birds, who would give each other enemas before they took flight off to wherever they were migrating to. So we're watching this, and then we say, well, let me try it. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, okay. Flushing all of this waste out of our bodies, okay, becomes a spiritual practice. You understand where we're going with this, people? Okay. So, yeah, these are the initial steps, but they are steps that continue even through the other practices. And the more we spiritualize our rituals, the more the rituals spiritualize us. Okay. So even at my young age, okay, because people are like, oh, Bobby, you're not that old. Okay. You just 147. All right. But the whole thing is, I will flush my system even as a vegan, because waste just doesn't comes from food. Waste comes from thought. Waste comes from the environment. Waste comes
ooh,
from stress. Waste isn't just a matter of food.
mm,
When we excavate, when we move our bowels, it's not just because of the food. The body is eliminating toxic energy as well.
mm,
So when we assist in the process, yes, as you stated, we not only feel better in our bodies, we feel better all over.
mm,
And now we take that cleaner body to our Ojubo as we move to the immediate. And we take that lightness of existence, the light, we take that to our Ojubos. We take it to our Orisha. We take it to the people in our communities. You see, we're the priestly. These are our practices. Okay. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do it, but we got Babalao sitting up in here. We have people who are by definition supposed to have a different way of life than everybody else, but our light shines on everybody else.
mm. I sure.
Okay? So that would be the second of three. Start taking detoxification seriously, okay, and making it a part of a consistent practice, which now becomes ritual.
Mm,
Okay, so you know, people on their knees praying to Jesus, but that ain't stopping diabetes from killing them. Okay,
speak to
colon
it.
cancer from killing us.
Mm,
You see, so the prayers, they have whatever it is that they give a person, but it's the lifestyle of the spiritual, the ritualization of the N that makes the difference. Okay. That's two.
Sure. It's
Okay.
powerful.
3, but not lastly, look at your ears as wombs. And inside of that womb, there cradles an infant. Okay. And everything that infant hears is going to have an impact on what it becomes. Everything that infant smells is going to have an impact on what it becomes. How that infant is cared for and nurtured is going to have an impact on what it becomes. So when we start looking at our sensory organs, and I use the ear specifically because of its shape and because when we see the baby, cradled in, we can almost see how that embryonic is there. Be careful what you listen to. Okay? Start taking special note of what you listen to, because it might be a little questionable if you call yourself a spiritual man and you're listening to quote unquote music that's very derogatory towards our women. How can you be a spiritual man and have no spiritual essence that merges with the spiritual woman? Okay. So what is it that you're listening to? And how is that infant going to grow inside of you? Because the next thing you know, you're repeating those words because that's what you hear, just like a child. And next thing you know, you're acting out those words because you have no control over yourself. And that leading domestic violence thing becomes a very harsh reality because of what you listen to. Sometimes you're forced to listen to it. But as we grow spiritually, we start to be able to screen it out and start to take note of the impact and the effect that it's having on us. Who am I listening to and why? What am I listening to and what are the results? And now it's not just what I'm listening to, it's what I'm speaking. It's what I'm speaking. So what you listen to, what you speak, and in and or do, like Iwari. Okay. Be careful what you watch. Because as they say, the eyes are the windows of the soul. Okay. But the soul is also the window of the eyes. Understand? So these are teachings because we don't get them. We, you know, we we almost fall off the cliff, and too many times we do, and I got to climb our way back up. Okay, because lack of uh, teachings from the mentors who themselves haven't been taught, who are still attempting to reconnect with the connect, if you will. So as we grow our elays and we grow our Ifa Isheshe involvement, I would say that these three statements just made, okay, nature, detoxifying, and sensory perception and sensory deliverance, if you will, okay, become of the utmost importance. And the the more you formulate and then make concrete those three initial points, they will be that which serves as a foundation as you build into the intermediate stage and then on to the advanced, keeping everything in threes. All right. Are we good with that, Baba or Orisha Baby?
Absolutely, Baba. And the tribe is going nuts in the comments. But yeah, nah, we're good. We
All right.
good.
Well, let's hear some comments, man.
Well, we got dope breakdown. I've been sharing them. I've been sharing them.
Uh,
Yeah, man. So you hitting that Ishe poetry out here in these Ishe Ashe streets.
well, just like to say, priests, poets, and priests and prophets.
Healers, yes, sir.
Right.
Teachers.
It's all about speaking to the people, speaking truth to the people in a way that is not authoritarian. You understand? Going back to that,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
uh, fear and emotional. I think somebody put up, you know, rewarding gullibility.
yeah.
You know
I
what I
think that was in Coastal. Shout out to Coastal. I think he was
Yeah,
saying.
coach.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, folks are gullible because they're rewarded for being that way. It's just like the little mice in a cage. If the more you do what they want you to do, the more cheese you gonna get.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? But you try to run out that cage, they might sick a cat in on you. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Or snake.
Mice learning. But yeah, so yeah, the way I speak is because of those three foundations that I don't have to reach back into anymore because I've learned to accept them as basically the root of my transformation, my growth.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
love it. I love it because you really went. I was thinking you was gonna say one thing, and you hit a whole nother. You just down a whole nother avenue. I was like, damn, I was not thinking that. I was thinking it might have been like an ancestral shrine, or you know what I'm saying. I didn't know where you was gonna go, but that's one thing. You're unpredictable, so I didn't know. But that's why I asked the questions I asked because I really want to know. Yeah, I
but
feel
we're
like
gonna move into the shrines once we get into the intermediate,
I
if
got
we have time this evening.
you. I got you.
Okay. Anybody else we want to throw up on that?
I think might be waiting for you to hit the next three, but no, we good with time. We
All right.
definitely have time to do that.
I just want to, make sure to take time to hear everyone.
Got
All
for
right.
sure.
Now, well, I'm just going to go through these three for the intermediate stage, and then I'm gonna sit back.
Okay,
Okay.
real quick, Baba, before you dive in. So, family, if y'all got any questions, anybody have any questions or comments, or anything that you want to address before we wrap it up, throw them in the comments, and I'll definitely bring them to the front when Baba finish with the next three for
Mhm.
sure.
For
All right,
sure. For sure. All
yes, sir.
right.
All right.
What I heard somebody wrote a comment, FR FR, and I was like, now what they mean FR FR?
I
Oh, and
think
they
it's
was
for
like,
real,
oh,
for real.
for real.
Listen, man, listen.
Right.
I can't keep up no more these days, boy. Listen, I don't feel like I'm an old dude, but man, listen. You're
Ah,
hearing some of these young people, these teenagers in the early
yeah,
20s and mid
loved it.
20s,
Yeah,
like,
I
man,
loved it. I'm
what does
like,
that mean? I need to know because that I don't I need to know what that means. Like, I'm not sure if
I've seen it before. But trust me, it's in my glossary now. Every now and
I,
then I'm gonna go back. I'm working
I
with my
know that.
script. I'm gonna be like FR FR, and they're gonna probably for real, and they're gonna know it like
I know
it
that's
took me
right.
like
Yes,
5 days to figure it out.
sir. Hey, real quick too, Baba. I think it was if I said go on Caribbean Nation in the building. I
Yeah.
got you with that meditation, the meditation question too. I think it was you that asked that. I'm gonna do another podcast specifically to dive into that, and we got several more different new series that I'm about to start, dropping in probably this week, I believe. But Baba has some heat coming too, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But go ahead, Baba. I don't want to keep interrupting while you hit these second three.
Good. I like to hear the discourse. That womb, is always like, you know, needing to hear, needing to grow, needing to nurture. I don't think that's ever going to stop, man. I'm always going to want to hear from the people, because that's not about the monologue. It's about the dialogue.
I said,
Yeah,
listen,
that's what grows us.
yeah. Nah, I saw somebody share the old post that I had posted on Facebook years ago, and it was talking about energy. and it was like a meme that says energy is either what was it? I think it was energy is either contagious or it's dang, what was the other one? But pretty much you're either affecting people with your
Okay.
energy in a positive light, or you're
Yes.
infecting people with your energy in a negative light. So
Yep.
that's the thing. So energy is contagious, man. So we we throwing that positive energy out there in that light, man, and it's the lighthouse. The lighthouse is beaming.
All right. Oh, yeah. Didn't we talk about that like way back in the day?
Yeah, I might have to bring that one back too for the tribe to see it. Years ago, we talked about this. It was
Yeah.
predicted years ago. Baba challenged me, boy. Like, yeah, yes, sir. I remember that one.
So the next three, and again, good people, classes are being concretely formed. We're not talking about doing it. You know, the bricks are being laid. All right. So we go more in depth and share experiences and notate. You know, as we build a a way of sourcing the essence of we who are of the tribe. Okay. Now, when we move into the intermediate stage, this is when I say we start looking for mentors. We start looking around for our woes. We start venturing in to the unknown. Okay, never been to Orisha, fundamental. Or, I don't know what this thing is about. Eshu and Ogun and Oshoshi and get my words in and what them beads around, what these beads mean, you know what I mean? I've seen them every now and then, and I got a cousin who was into that, but I never got into it. The whole, as they say, 9 yards. But after we go through the first 3 stages and those dormant and recessive genes start to like, as you stated, the alarm clock is going off. Time for people to get woke up in here, okay? And I always start peeping things. And it's like, okay. All right, cuz, take me to one of these, what they call them, bembays, okay, whatever, okay. So now we start to wander within our wonderment, okay. We start to wander. Uh, you check this person out. Oh, I like them. Or check this person out. I don't like them. They too hard on people or whatever. And we start to try to feel things out from our purity.
Mm.
Okay. And if folks are resonating, we give them a little time. But folks aren't resonating, we give them less than a little time. But 1 foot is out the door. Okay, because maybe we just caught them on a bad day. Okay, so the whole thing is now we're exploring possibilities. Now we may be getting our first reading. Okay, now we're becoming familiar with Ia and Baba or Madrino or Madrina and Padrino. We're coming to understand, that there's like a whole world out here. Got the Palo thing happening over there. Got the Orisha thing happening over there. Got the Voodoo thing with the Loa over there. And we got the Ghanaian thing happening because people were getting into the Ghanaian thing behind Baba Denizulu back in the day and his son. Okay. And we're starting to get around people who have names like Kwame and Amina and Nasukile, and you know what I mean. It's like these are not the names of like the kids that I grew up with in school. They were all John, Sarah, Jesus. Or everything Euro biblical, Eurocentric. Even after the king, we're gonna name him Charles after King Charles. And George after King George, and blah 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 blah. But now we're running into again, Afrocentric names, even though they weren't government names. These were names that people designed. And now we're starting to find that there are people who are naming their children very poetically. You know what I mean? Because the influence of Islam was beginning to take place. But I'm saying all that to say that we're into a new world. And whereas when we may have heard, distant cries of it, now we're in. And we may be even getting an Orisha name. Okay, because some divination, some Babylon, some point. Now we got our lekes, and now, okay, we're Oshun Niyi. You know what I mean? Okay, now we're Akinyele. Understand? So we're starting to change our vibration as the first step of the intermediate. We're still tapped into the first three, but now there's this ascension going on, as stated in my text Imoye. There's this ascension going on. So now that I have my lekes, I need to read more. I need to do A, B, C, D, and E, because that's part of the ascension paper. So let me work on that for a while. So now we step up to the warriors. You see, so in this intermediate stage, we're getting initiatory experiences. We're getting a sense of mentorship. We're exploring. And sometimes people get their lekes at one place and have a falling out or whatever. They go someplace else, get their warriors from someplace else. Nobody, you're no one's slave. If it's not working out, then trust me, it's best to find someplace else.
Mm.
Even if that someplace for a minute is no place. Okay, guys, talk to some people. This is not an addiction. Don't let the adrenaline and rush have you fooled into thinking that this is what's best for you.
Yeah.
What's best for you is what you come to realize is what's best for you, not what somebody else is telling you what's best for you. You're grown. Okay, so now let's just say those are the first two steps. Okay, going out, doing some exploration, talking with people, taking notes, trying to get to understand. And I emphasize taking notes. Okay, learning to articulate. When I first hit this intermediate stage, there was practically nothing in English. It was all Spanish. All Spanish. I had to get with some Spanish folks, that I work with and say, I'll pay you. You know what I mean? I need for you to translate to English because I need to know what I'm doing up in here. I need to know where all of this is coming from. And if I have to go through this to get to where I believe I'm going, then okay. All right. Not that I'm believing in you or your system. You just an assistant at this point. Okay. So, but nowadays you can find anything anywhere and then hit the language button and it'll translate into any language you want. But it wasn't that way back in the 70s. Okay. And so here we go. That's the next stage. Get involved. Get with somebody who doesn't mind you learning. From my humble corner of the universe, if somebody tells you don't read, don't study, don't dialogue, then let me just say, I question it.
Don't trust them. That's what I would say to that.
Yeah, because they might say, "Oh, well, we don't want you to get confused." Well, I tell you, like I tell any of my students, confusion is a good thing. Confusion is a good thing. Get confused. I'm gonna ask you questions intentionally confusing because you got to learn to work this stuff out. Okay, we're not children. Nobody gonna paint a little picture and tell you, "Oh, this is God." You got to figure it out. Let it be confusing. But as long as you see that there's a tunnel at the end of the light, you're going to be okay. And if there is no light, shine yourself. Okay. So now we're going through the two steps. Okay. Explore, learn. Okay, start making text to self connections. A documentary every now and then. These days, YouTube is so full of everything. Okay, now you may speak with your mentor about screening things out because you're following the ascension paper. Okay, again, as any Moye, but now at least you have a guide. Okay, and now the third thing is start to understand the process of divination and ebos. Okay, just don't go do it. Just don't get a divination or get a reading. Try to understand through conversation, dialogue with your mentor, your baba, your ear. Okay, a little study on your own. Be you priest, priestess, or babalawo or iyanifa. Ain't nobody stopping you from cracking a book and trying to understand. Well, if this is this, then why is that, and why is this? Okay, because other than that, you might as well just stay, in some kind of other authoritarian religious system. I ain't gonna call no names, where everybody's just telling you what to do and how to do it without you having any understanding of it, but you just doing it because you feel as though, as they are telling you, not what you are realizing for yourself is the grace of their God. And that might be true. Their God might be getting stronger and stronger by the day. But the benefit that has on people like us, I dare say, is limited.
Mm.
Is limited. When we start having understandings of what our perceiving, our perception of the creative essences, even if it has no anthropomorphic struggle. It got to be a man. It got to look like this, and and it's a he. That O in Yoruba does not mean he. That's translated into English. Olodumare is not a he. Good people, it's not a he. It's an essence. We put pronouns on things because of the language that we speak. In English, it got to be a he or she or something else. Okay. But in Yoruba, from my understanding, is that O does not mean he. God is not a he. God is not even a God. Okay. So, breaking free. And if we just want to say the essence, the Da, the creation, okay? Da, 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 okay? As referred to from our Dravidian ancestors, okay? Da is creation in Yoruba. Da, da is the creation of that which is created. Not he, not she, not even it. You understand? So once we start to get into those stages, those three intermediate stages, now I would say you're ready for priesthood, or you're ready to be a medium, or you're ready to be a healer, whatever direction your inner essence is taking you, not the one that I want you to go, not the one that I want you to go through, but the one that's revealed either through the Odu or through the obvious. Okay. Or through the obvious. If you're obviously a dancer, then go on and dance. Go on and dance. Dance your heart out. If you want to get initiated into priesthood, oh, we can do that. But your dance is your offering. You understand? Your dance is your offering. So dance. Okay. Yes, sound goes. Uh, my, my brother, hopefully I touched on,
Yeah, no, you smashed it. As I knew that you would. That's why I asked. But no, you definitely answered it. And the tribe going in with the commentary,
great,
in
great.
response. And so, and I agree with Nkosi and Sound Ghost and Nkosi and Queen, like all of them, pretty much dropping jewels in the comments. It's like you dropping them on the stage. So it's jewels
All right.
everywhere, jewels everywhere. Everybody, like Oprah say, you get a car, you get a car, you got a jewel, you got a jewel, you got. We got jewels all over the place out here tonight, man, for real.
Yeah, and that's a good
um,
thing, man. That's a
absolutely, absolutely. I say all over the place.
wow.
Shout out to the Carrier Nation in the building. He wanted me to touch on something that we were talking about a while back. I don't remember how many lives ago. I don't know if it was a live or a podcast, but anywho, a couple of shows ago, we were talking about meditation. I think it was the art and meditation episode.
Ah,
Uh-huh. And I think it was something in regards to someone had asked a question about meditating and shrines. And so I think I had started speaking on it, but he wanted me to go back into it. But one of the things that I was sharing in regards to that is for me personally, some of my most, I would say, impactful and on a personal level, most significant meditations were at my ancestral shrine. Not in my current home that I'm in now, but the home that I was in before that. I had a room that I had my ancestral shrine that it was kind of like in its own room. And I just recall going and sitting there with my ancestors, and I would light my candles, and I would just sit there. Sometimes I would audibly speak to them. Sometimes I would just sit there, and I feel like the communication was telepathically, or it was like I could just feel the information that they were giving to me through spirit, and also like what I was trying to transmit to them from my spirit. And I felt like through those experiences and through those moments were some of the most profound interactions that I've had with spirit, and most of them were without verbal communication.
mm,
So for those of you who I'll use a perfect example of how this works. So for those of you who have pets, like I'm a dog guy, I got dogs. I've had dogs since I was a little boy. I like to keep a good dog, because for one, they're companionship, relationships, etc. But they're guard dogs, and I like dogs that can guard the house and all that good stuff too. So each one of my dogs that I've had as an adult, I've been able to communicate with them telepathically. And I would do it intentionally to see if they were able to read into and to respond to the information that I sent out intentionally with my mind and with spirit or read. So I would say in my head the thought that I wanted my dog to do. Perfect example, I would get my current dog now, I could get him to sit down without saying a word to him, because I'll look at him and say he wants a treat. I'll look at him like, okay, I know what you want, and then I'll grab it and I'll hold it and I'll look at him. And sometimes he'll just stand there and play with me, like he don't know what I'm trying to do. But then when he really want that treat, I'll say it in my head with like a sense of kind of like authority, like sit down. But I say it internally in my head, and he'll sit down. He will sit down, and then I'll give him the treat. So for me personally, that's a tangible, I feel like a tangible example of how this works, because spiritually, when I'm sitting at my shrine, I'm not giving out no demands first and foremost, but I'm there for the energy exchange and the energy transfer. And those have been some of the most profound, monumental, I feel like, experiences. And mind you, this was all before I don't even think I don't know if I had my Elekes at the time. I don't even think I had my Elekes yet. I was just on my journey, but I knew the significance of how impactful our ancestral shrines are. And for me, I had a really good relationship with my ancestors who transitioned. That's all my shrines. So it's like I was blessed to be able to kind of, within myself and within my spirit, my Ori, I was blessed to kind of know that they can feel us and that they're here with us. They're just in a different form. They're not in the physical form, but they're definitely here with us in the auric spiritual form, or I should say in the auric spiritual space, right? So it's like, I just recall like the comfort. Say if you're going through something and you're struggling, and somebody at work could be messing with you, harassing you. You know what I mean? Like it could be all kind of different foods, or it could be baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, ex-boyfriend, so whatever the case may be. The Ancestral Shrine is one of the places that I've learned if you go to the shrine with, good intention and positive, spirit and positivity, but also from a sense and a spirit of, could you assist me with this? Can I get some help with this? Is it possible that you can kind of help me to get this particular situation away from me, or out of my space to where it's impacting me negatively? Is this something that I could get some assistance with? And for me personally, it was delivered. And even in the moment, I could just recall feeling that sense of peace, feeling that sense of protection, feeling that sense of having almost like what do you call it? Like a force field of protection.
Yeah.
And it's something that has been profound. And I can't stress enough how it seems simple, but it's a lot more to it for me personally. I feel like it's a whole lot more. It's almost like driving down a regular road, I would compare to like talking to people how we're talking now. But then for me personally, when I sit at my ancestral shrine and I come there with intentions, I feel like that's more like driving down a highway, like kind of like the Autobahn over there in Europe where they driving 100 something miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel like it is kind of like for me personally when I'm dealing with and trying to communicate with spirit at my ancestral shrine. And it's powerful. So it's like, but everybody has their own way. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own thing that works for them. And Baba, you are the epitome of that, the way your process for Ifa and Isheshe is compared to many other people who I've learned from, or many other books that I've read, or, you know what I'm saying, many other Babalaos, Iyanifas, or priests, Babalarishas, Iyalarishas, etc., that I've communicated with. You have an outcasted uh, approach that not necessarily you were outcasted, but I feel like you casted yourself out of the norm, outside of the box of what other people conform to. And I love that because it gives me personally, and I know for sure, probably the vast majority of all your other students and mentees, it gives us a sense of freedom to know that as long as we're doing what we're doing with good intentions and we're doing it for the right reasons, that it's an acceptable way for us to be on our spiritual journey. So I would share that with Karaday Nation in regards to, the what I was getting into that last show with the significance of sitting and meditating in the ancestral shrine.
But the power of your statement is everlasting in terms of it's resonating. Okay?
Mm.
Because I too am there. There was a time that I used to feel as though if I think about something hard enough, it's going to come out in divination. And
Mm.
sure enough, okay. And then it became, well, it was like I can do this because it's all a matter of will and divine, okay, inspiration, if you will. So yeah, those telepathic moments, we're gifted with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're not the only ones. People have been talking about it for days and forever. Okay. And there's people who become prophets as a result. There's people who become priests as a result. There's people who have become, you know,
Mediums.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Healers, all kind of.
yeah. And so the power and importance is that we are links in the chain.
Yes, that's
Okay.
sure.
Now, and that's part of the freedom that you spoke of, because see, we can be free to be that link in the chain. There's no one stopping us from saying, I think I got a little something special right here.
Mm.
Let me see how I can best serve the world, my people, and myself, in terms of enhancing this life experience. So I think that the more of us who get together under Ashe, under Karaday Nation, under this Benin wall that we're building with 5 or 6 different cities inside of the wall, and everyone is obviously getting along. Everyone is obviously sharing in what the ultimate goal is, to coexist and to reflect the greatness of one another. We are rebuilding the Benin Wall telepathically. And that's not supernatural, that is naturally natural. Okay, that's the nature of our existence. Other people call it super, but ain't we're like, yo, this is what we do. Like you were sharing with me about the vegan pizza. And I was talking to you about the book. It was like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Everybody else see it as something special, and oh, but it's like, yo, man, we just woke up with this morning, okay, and this is how we roll. But there's one thing that I'm going to lead into the next podcast with, and that is the belief in the afterlife.
Oof, that's a
Okay.
good one.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ancestral shrine that triggered that. I didn't get uh, the opportunity to speak on what do we actually believe happens to us after this physical is no longer.
Mm,
Just like you were talking about going to the ancestral shrine, I would like envisioning why people go to grave sites.
mm.
Okay, we're going to talk about this, and then we'll start to look at the Odus like Erosu Meiji,
Mm.
and start to see where we are in what we believe for all of our ritualization and reverence and worship. What do we believe happens
Mm.
once we transition? But stay tuned, good people. Stay tuned.
Listen, because I know we running tonight, boy. We running. We going knocking on 3 hours, man. But listen, so we still got a full house there. We got, I think, like 25 something people in here so far
All
right
right,
now.
it's all
But
good.
but this, I'm gonna say this real quick to that, and then we definitely get all the way into it. And then I got one more question from Nkosi that I want to get to you, because he put it up a while ago, but I didn't want to interrupt thoughts you were
Okay,
sharing.
understood.
So with what you just said, now we playing ping pong out here. I want to give a shout out to Forbidden Knowledge and Brother Rich, because I check out both of they channels and podcasts, and they've been doing this work for a minute, but they be dropping heat. But anywho, one of their shows I was watching not too long ago, they brought up a very powerful point in regards to death and transitioning and transformation, and it
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of something that you and I spoke about in one of our podcasts, which was before this one that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Similar subjects and topics, but not exactly the same. But I feel like they matter and they match. So what we spoke about, you asked me on one of our podcasts to look up how much space is inside the human body. You
Yes.
remember that one?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
So we went into that. I looked it up. We went into it. I'll have to find the show and link that for the tribe. So that way, but if anybody wants to check it out. But anywho, when I was watching their show, they spoke about how when people transition, and this is documented, and you can do your due diligence and research too, because I looked it up too. But
Mm-hmm.
they talk about how when people transition, immediately after the actual last breaths are taken, and that person is considered to be quote unquote dead, deceased, the physical body, right?
Yeah.
How the body loses weight. So,
Yes.
for example, if the person was in the hospital and they were sick or whatever the case may be, they weighed, 250 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, at the time prior to their death, they were 250 pounds. But after the death,
Mm-hmm.
it is said, and it has been proven, that the body, by the time the coroner actually gives or writes off on the death certificate, that the body is a few ounces or several ounces or so,
Mm-hmm.
that weighs less by several ounces.
Mm-hmm.
There's a different little chart. I forgot. I think it could be as low as, maybe, I don't remember, 5 or 6 ounces, as high as maybe like 9, 10, 12 ounces. So I can't remember the exact
Yeah.
numbers, but I do know that it was dope, because the question then was, So what was the extra weight? Where are those extra ounces?
Yeah.
Is that considered the spiritual soul self
Mm-hmm.
that now has, since there's no more breath coming in and out, there's no more
Oh,
spirit
yeah.
coming in and out, there's no more soul that's
Mm-hmm.
inside, and because that
Yeah.
returned to the cosmos and
Yeah. I get it.
from which it came.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we could definitely, go deep in with that next podcast. I'm looking forward to that because I remember hearing like, yo, that was deep, and I meant to bring it up to you a while back, but I forgot. But
No, no,
something
no.
like you said triggered it.
Everything's right on time,
Yeah.
and I'm going to include that with near-death experiences.
Mm, mm,
Right. So that's all on the next podcast. You
mm,
know, and how we look at it from our internal eternalness, directly connected with our ancestral bearing, you know, because if people are noticing it now, they noticed it way back then. And it's like, okay, what happens as opposed to what we've been told was what happens, you know? So let's try to figure it out on our own and hold this information as part of the pieces, if you will, that comprise the puzzle of what we actually believe in and how we actually wish to be buried and where do we actually wish to be buried.
mm.
So all of this comes into play when we have a belief system that empowers us. Okay. But I don't want to start talking about it too much because it'd be like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
whole
yeah, 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 yeah. Because we gotta wrap it up. I know. Listen.
cliffhanger.
So
Everybody, stay tuned for the
yeah,
next podcast
yes,
with the classes
yes,
and books. And because I speak on this in the Global Perspective books.
got you, got
Okay.
you. Yeah.
So it's all there, but it needs to be expounded upon. It needs to be delivered. The word needs to be delivered. The little babies in everybody's ear need to hear it so that we grow through life and through afterlife.
Mm. I sure. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Hmm.
real quick, Baba, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna throw in Koshi's uh
Okay.
comment in there so that way before we get out of here. He said, "Can you further, Baba Carter? Can you further explain what you mean by a matter of will?" And this is from earlier, though.
Okay. A matter of will,
Mhm.
a matter of willpower, a matter of conscious effort, a matter of bringing something into being by the effort of one's Ori, the Shah of Orisha. Okay. And by stating with some focus and some determination, some concentrated, again, focus on the achievement of a goal. Okay. That is the power of will, the willpower to bring about a change, and that change becomes transformational. People can change, but that doesn't mean that it's a transformational change. Okay. People can change for the worse. People can make minuscule changes, okay, of environments, but still remain who they are. They can go into another relationship, but as we say, they haven't left the baggage at the door. They bring in the baggage in, bag lady, as Erica Badu might say. You still come going around with your bag. You haven't exercised the will to leave it
Mm,
where it is, to leave it where it is. So that's what I mean by the matter of will, because will changes matter. Will has the power to change matter, and that's not a belief. That's a focused fact. that you can will yourself to do something that you may have never even considered doing. Okay. That you may have been on the can't side of possibilities until you grit yourself and say, I'm going to do this. I don't care what happens. I'm going to make it happen. That's the matter of will power. And in closing, we can have the power to exercise our will to enhance our spirit and commune with the spirit of the Orisha, because Orisha aren't spirits, but Orisha have spirits.
Mm. Mm.
We aren't spirits, but we have spirits. Okay. And when we become spiritual, the spiritual essence now becomes a governing part of our existence. And that governing part of our existence connects with the spirit of the Orisha. That's why there's no one way to worship the Orisha. There's no set way to, to be so rigid based on some authoritarian dictation, that the spirit of the union of the spirit of self with the spirit of the Orisha is practically unknown. It's not fostered, it's not nurtured. Making elbows does not nurture the spirit of the Orisha. I don't care what anybody say. The Orisha are not bloodthirsty like that. Okay? There are other elements that go into Ebo Ejes, like communal feasting. Okay? But to just say, I'm spiritually, doing Ebo Ejes, be specifically, that's not what spiritually feeds the Orisha. I've learned this through phase one of the foundations, that the Orisha come to me and say, look, we are spiritual, just like you are.
Mm.
We are encasements within this certain realm, but if you want to be spiritually strengthened by us, then relate to us with your spirits.
Mm.
Relate to us with your spirits, so that we're all spiritually connected.
Mm.
And I am in you, and you
All
are
right.
in.
Ashe. Ashe. Oh. And right on time. Sound goes as you're saying that. He said that.
Oh, sound good. So
Simultaneously.
right.
That's the second time that happened today, by the way, because me and Karen Nation and Ifi Sagoon I was saying something and he was typing it, and
Okay.
when his message popped up, I was saying it. It was like, right, matter of fact, look, I'm gonna share that one too. Because he was literally just saying the same thing. So it's like that's how spirit work though, man, for real. But real quick too, before we get out of here, Baba, I wanted to do something, just in true Ashe form and fashion. Shout out to everybody who is a supporter, who's been rocking with us, whether you're new from the day ones, all the way to the people who signed up today or yesterday or subscribed today or yesterday. I appreciate every single one of y'all. For those of y'all who are not on the live that'll see this, on the replay, we appreciate y'all. Y'all helped push us to. We had a divine day on Friday. We hit over 100,000, total views for the channel, which was on 11/20/22, which was 11 days after the my third Orisha birthday, and it was just like those 11s came in, you know what I mean? And then we made that milestone. So shout out to y'all for rocking with us and supporting and the likes, the shares, the subscribes, all that. We appreciate y'all. And then shout out to our our community members. Shout out to brother Nkosi, who's been rocking with us for a minute now with the VIP membership. Shout out to Queen Liquid Waters, who's been rocking with us. Shout out to K Nix, who's part of the community. Shout out to Adeyele Bennett, who's part of the tribe. Shout out to Adana for joining the tribe. And shout out to our newest member, Healthy Lifestyles for You. Shout out to all y'all. We appreciate y'all. We got a whole lot in store for y'all, and I can't wait, man. So it's definitely going down. Baba and I are definitely putting together the next class, which we'll share that date this week for sure. once we get it locked in with the schedule. And then I got several other presentations that I'll be sharing, in the membership as well, just, to pour in. We want to over deliver and under promise. And that's what the goal is for the whole entire movement of Ashe. So I appreciate y'all. Yes, sir.
Could you put up the www dot?
Yes, Temple of the Mystic Path.
Because I did see some people something about they were going to get books or whatever. So just to have it up. Did not mean to interrupt. Seemed like you had finished.
Nah, you good, Baba. One more. I'm about to post it now. And then also I had a couple of people that left comments that I wanted to highlight too, real quick before we get out of here. But let me
it just crossed my mind, brother. That's all.
No, it's all good. Matter of fact, the one of our new members, Adana, I think she probably bought the Global Perspective this week because I sent her the link for her to grab that because she wanted to grab it to watch the first session that we did last Sunday.
Oh, okay, beautiful.
Yeah, so shout out to her, yep, for grabbing hers, and everybody else who's supporting your work. And then also, go ahead, Bubba.
She the one who had the fire signs after I saw somebody said Global Perspectives, and then they had
no, that was in Kosi. He was just saying that it was dope. Like it was pretty much he was complimenting. Yeah, all right. Yep. Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you, Nkosi. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's the website for the Temple of the Mystic Path, y'all. Baba has the let me see. He has on that website Elder Reflections Book 1, Elder Reflections Book 2, Imoye, the Ifa Orisha Religious Traditions, A New Global Perspective, Souls of Myrrh, and also A Place of Nights. And then on Amazon we have
Imoye.
Oh, yes, right. Imoye.
Yeah.
I think I said Imoye.
No, that's all right. Either way.
But yeah, Imoye, and then also excuse me, I'll have the links, on the actual description of the show for the handbook, which is on Amazon, as well as OGC, which is on Amazon. So all the links will be in the description of not just the live stream, but also the when I upload the actual episode, family. So we'll definitely see that. Y'all will definitely see that there. And then we appreciate that. Appreciate the love, family. Sound Ghost. Everybody, giving thanks. Bye bye. Oh, and real quick, we did get the Ashe merch store up too, man. So we got some Ashe hoodies, Ashe Scullies, Ashe t-shirts, and I got a whole lot more that I
got two. Don't tell them I already ordered mine, so I'm not playing. All right.
Appreciate you, Baba. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
saw it up and I jumped on it so quick. It was like, what?
Yes, sir.
They got an order already.
Yes,
I was
sir.
like, yeah, I'm not only a supporter, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Nah, I appreciate it for real. I appreciate it. So look, I'm waiting on mine to get here too, because it got a little cool. Yeah, it got a little cool out here this weekend. I could have had my hoodie on today, man, messing around. And got a little nippy out there, but so we got that, and I got a lot of other products that I'll be throwing out there, family. I just want to kind of get the main brand out there first, and then I'll throw all the other shirts and logos, the Orisha t-shirts. Like, we got a lot going on. Black Panther Fist t-shirts, hoodies, hats, you name it. We got a lot coming. So I definitely look forward to sharing that with the tribe. And then also for the community, right now we're going to be on YouTube, at least for, I'll say, foreseeable future for the next month or so. I'm trying to figure out between Patreon and another platform that I'm working on. The other platform that I won't name, it has listed a lot of powerful features, but right now I'm still kind of trying to fill it out to see if it's actually delivering what it's been led that it should deliver. And right now I'm not seeing it. So I got to make sure that I make that concrete decision of which platform is the best before I switch it, from the YouTube platform, which I'm not sure if I will completely switch it out. But either way, we'll keep y'all posted, family. And the link is in the show description at the top of the channel on laptops. I think there's a little bit of an issue with it on mobile phones. So if you do want to subscribe from the channel, I believe you may have to do it on a laptop. For some reason, I'm not sure why it's not showing up on the mobile devices for the membership.
All right, man, that's powerful, man. We almost at 2:48, man. We just broke a record.
Wow, 2:48 what?
2 hours and 48 minutes.
Oh yeah, we went in today, man. We definitely went in.
And the people hanging in there, everybody still.
We still got pretty much the same amount of people that have been riding with us. It comes, and some come, some go, but it's definitely, yeah, man. So yeah, we appreciate it. And then real quick, I wanted to highlight a couple of comments that was left on the channel because we really do appreciate you know, all the love and support, family. So I want to make sure that we don't just talk about it. We is about it. We be about it, and we show about it. But this one right here was powerful, man. Shout out to Ballerina Witch, man. This Baba, she was referring to the sister who you shared the picture of last week on the I want to say it was the live stream about the art in Ifa and Shay, but she said that the queen that just recently transitioned, she said her name was Michelle.
Jameson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Judith Jameson, and the photographer's name was Jack Michelle, who was definitely in the spirit while photographing the legendary Judith Jameson. Ibatu, I am very blessed to have cherished memories of time spent with this incredible queen. You all are amazing. Your acknowledgement of her makes my heart so full. Congratulations on the success of a fantastic channel. Thank you for the obedience and sharing what comes through you with the people. Baba Ifa Karade, I have to give you your flowers. Years and years and years ago, but I had no proper cultural context for the experiences I've had with the chakra activation. Page 47 in your handbook gave me the information necessary to find peace in how I function within my own African birthright. Empowering behind measures. Dr. Fist, Baba Orisha Bemi, what you all do here is more important than words can express. Thank you. Please share how we can become VIP members and get access to the videos for the group. And if not for those who are not able to attend, you know, the meetings in person, so we appreciate you at Ballerina Witch 8940. We really truly do. And she's been riding with us from the beginning. So much love to you, Queen. We definitely appreciate the love and support as always. So I wanted to make sure that we actually highlighted that because I didn't get to respond to it in a timely manner because I had a lot going on this weekend. But as always, I like to show the love for those who show love to us. So we definitely appreciate you for sure.
That's really nice. That's really nice. I do play Ballerina. I remember her from back when we were doing just talking something about Obatala. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
One love. One
love.
Man.
So we want to definitely get the comments and the love that they've been sharing with us. We want to throw it right back at y'all because that's why we do it. So we appreciate you, Healthy Lifestyle, Karate Nation. We appreciate all of y'all. And as usual and as always, family, has been amazing once again. So y'all know the routine. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll definitely see y'all on the next one. We definitely will be having some more this week. And as usual, I'll be uploading new episodes, and I got some more heat coming for y'all. And for the community, I'm definitely working on something that I'll be sharing with y'all. Y'all see it in I feel like more real time than for it to get posted. But I'm working on a series of the 1804 Haitian Revolution. Because that's something that is not talked about enough. And we need to know the significance in it from a psychological aspect, from an emotional aspect, from a spiritual aspect, even from an economic aspect of how significant that movement impacts us as a people, past, present, and future. So I'm going to do my best to highlight that work and really share it with our community, with our family, with our channel, and with our tribe. So with that, family, we definitely appreciate y'all. On the way out, please like, share, subscribe, and we will see y'all on the next episode. So with that, much love, much appreciation. Modupwe, we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all in the next one. We out. Peace.
Peace.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ntẹ́ ní takisa ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe nígbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and pray.